Series, the man sitting in between Roy Jones and myself, a champion himself, Bernard Hopkins. And next week you're going to be taking on Keith Holmes, and surprisingly, not many people are giving Keith Holmes a real chance in this one. Bernard, are you?
Yes, I'm giving Keith Holmes a great chance to perform in the best that he can because he's a champion. All champions want to recognize that they want to be recognized that they can be at a championship level, and Keith Holmes is bringing something to the table. He's tall, he ranges, he's a southpaw, and I think the disrespect of people saying that he's not a worthy opponent will make him fight even harder.
I hear you.
How do you feel about the William Joppy Trinidad fight? Do you feel like Trinidad really can withstand this middleweight competition?
You know what, Roy, we'll find out soon, but I must tell you, though, the William Joppy and Trinidad fight is no walk in the park for Trinidad. I think Trinidad is going to have some serious problems. You know, I'm just waiting for the winner. I really don't care who win or who lose. I want to be there standing for the winner.
Which one would you prefer to fight and why?
I would prefer Trinidad because he bring more money to the table. The purse is big. As a businessman, Roy, you know about that.
Yeah.
Trinidad brings a different flavor to the table. Hey, I mean, you know, it'd be more Puerto Ricans in the stadium and no more African Americans in the stadium. We make a rival out of it, and it'd be a big thing. But it's going to be a good fight between Joppy and Trinidad.
It's not too often I get a chance to deal with some very candid guys like the both of you. But now, if you are successful throughout this entire unification series, beating the winner of Trinidad and Joppy, you will have successfully defended your middleweight title 14 times, setting a new world record held by Carlos Monzon, the great Carlos Monzon, with 14. Is that important to you at all?
That's very important. That's legacy. That's Hall of Fame stuff that I can tell my 18-month daughter 17, 15 years from now what Daddy have done. I think that people recognize you when you make legacies. You know, mortality is what I stand for. Way after I'm out of boxing, dead in my grave, people will be talking about like the Ray Robinsons of the world and Joe Louis of the world, the great things that I have accomplished.
Let me get candid with the two of you sitting here. I was surprised to see the both of you showing each other your props, their props, respective props. Many people would like to see this match happen. If you go through this middleweight unification series successfully, might you two finally get it on?
Well, I would love to. I mean, as Roy knows, with Montel Griffin's second fight, he got a rematch. And I think he got jobbed on the first fight, but he knew that he wanted to redeem himself. All great champions want to be able to redeem themselves by fighting a guy that defeated them. And in my case, is over 6.5 years ago. I think I've earned that right. I think the 12 defenses proved that I earned that right. And hey, you know, after this tournament, who else Hopkins going to fight? Who else Roy's going to fight? So it would be great. It would be great competition. It would be a great rival.
We got to let the promoter speak. Go ahead, Roy.
Now, I just want to ask him a question. I want to know about this pound for pound stuff is what I'm having a problem with. You've been dominant since 1994 as a middleweight champion?
1994.
Do you feel that it's fair to you that they come and bring all these other guys who've only had one or two good showings to put them pound for pound ahead of Bernard Hopkins?
No, no, Roy, I got to agree with him. Longevity and what you accomplish at a long period of time should be considered as a pound-for-pound guy. A guy that wins one fight, maybe two fights, jumps over a guy like myself or Roy Jones Jr., who's been constantly years after years establishing that they're the best fighters in the world, I think is unfair. Shane Mosley, I love him. I love his father, Jack Mosley. I got respect for them. He beat Oscar De La Hoya, and boom, he's at top. Trinidad, he beat David Reed, Fernando Vargas, young fighters, young puppies in the game, and he becomes #1 contender, #1 pound for pound.
So you don't like that no more than I do?
No, I think I should be #1.
But damn it, we gonna fight.
We gotta fight.
Let me hear you say that again, Roy.
Damn it, we gonna fight.
We gotta fight.
Because we gonna prove this, because we know
prove
the best pound for pound.
Well,
right now, I got to be, because I beat him already. But he got to be second. Understand? Nobody came up and dominated.
But I don't want to be second, so we got to do it quick.
But that's why we're going to fight.
Exactly.
That's why we're going to fight. But he came up,
absolutely,
you know what I'm saying? And, you know,
love this.
He did his thing, and
Roy
damn it, I want my title back.
We got to meet.
In the meantime, it'll be Bernard Hopkins taking on Keith Holmes. That'll be coming up next week. Roy Jones says he will make it happen. All right, folks, as we throw it back downstairs, there it is, Bernard Hopkins taking on Keith Holmes. He's given Keith Holmes his proper.
Hey, I don't know. Maybe my measurement is off, you know.
Do you have
thank HBO, thank Don King.
Do you have to fight that kind of a roughhouse fight to be effective, Bernard?
I think I have to fight the fight that I've been taught in Philadelphia, hey, maybe I should get on some Prozac or something. I've been taught to blame my trainer. He taught me the rough and tough fighter. You ever seen Benny? Oh, you seen Benny Briscoe. You come out of Philadelphia. Rough and tough, elbows, kneecaps, and the whole 9 yards. This is fighting, Larry. People want to see blood and guts.
What's going to happen in the second fight of the series? What are you hoping happens?
Well, first of all, no more guaranteed knockouts, but I'll win. I will tell you I will win the tournament. I don't care if it's Joppy. I don't care if it's Keith. No, Keith's done. Trinidad. I will be rooting for both of them. But you know, I got a lot of African Americans behind me to take on them Puerto Ricans.
Well, you want to make a race war out of it? Is that what you're saying?
I want to make, I guess you could say, a positive situation where you got Spanish people that support their fighters way back in Escalero days, and African Americans will lobby Hopkins because the Mexicans lobby Fernando Vargas when he fought Trinidad. So why not the African Americans, who are proud people also, come together and start what we call a tribe against each other? We're the Mandingo tribe. They will be the San Mangago tribe.
All right, tribal warfare. Just what we need.
I love you, Larry. Got a nice haircut, man.
Thank you, Bernard. So we've started this experiment in a middleweight tournament. You know, there have been some middleweight and heavyweight and other tournaments in the past. Something frequently happens to stop it from reaching its final goal. Somebody wins a fight, starts to think they're worth a whole lot more money, and before you know it, it all falls apart. That's been known to happen. Still in all, it's not a bad idea. Madison Square Garden deserves a lot of credit for putting up some money. Tito Trinidad deserves much of the credit because he's the one that makes this happen. And to give the devil, the true devil, his due, Don King deserves the credit for putting it together as well. Jim?
Well said, Larry. And here are the two men who we hope will give us a much more presentable and interesting fight when they meet on May 12. Felix Tito Trinidad, 154-pound world champion, moving up to fight 160-pound titleist William Joppy. We'll be back to talk to them about what they saw tonight and what they expect in the future after this look at some upcoming fights. Middleweight titleist William Joppy for his thoughts on the fight that he just saw. But first, let's start out with Felix Tito Trinidad with the help of interpreter Robert Abramowitz. What did he think of the fight that he just saw and of Hopkins' performance in it?
¿Qué te pareció la pelea que acabas de ver y cómo viste a Hopkins?
Bueno, Hopkins mucho más fuerte.
He looked very strong.
Yo esperaba que ganara la pelea y así lo hizo.
I thought that he was going to win the fight, and that's what happened.
As you look forward to the possibility of fighting Hopkins in the fall, do you already know what plan you would use against him?
Sabiendo que posiblemente pelees contra Hopkins en el otoño, ¿lo has visto y ya tienes un plan para él?
Bueno, primeramente tengo que ganarle a William Joppy, a mí un gran campeón de las 160 libras, y después nos veremos las caras, Hopkins y yo.
He says, first I've got to beat William Joppy, who's a great champion at 160, and then after that we'll see what happens.
More on that in a second. William, what did you think of the fight, and were you disappointed that your fellow Washington, D.C. native Keith Holmes didn't put up more of an aggressive fight against Hopkins?
Well, you know, I'm not really worried about who won the fight. As long as I'm going to be standing there September 15th for the winner. Bernard Hopkins did what he had to do. You know, that was his fight in rough tactics, the inside fighting. Keith Holmes couldn't really deal with it, and Bernard Hopkins prevailed.
Holmes's people coming into the fight talked incessantly about Bernard's rough tactics and all the things they wanted the referee to do to try to prevent Hopkins from fouling. When a fighter's that preoccupied with what the opponent might do, has he already lost before he comes in?
Exactly. See, this is fighting just like Bernard Hopkins said. Now, if Bernard Hopkins hit me low, hit him back low. It's fighting. You know what I mean? And it's just the way Keith Holmes went about it wrong, complaining to the ref already. So already Bernard Hopkins got in his head.
You're the 160-pound fighter. Felix is moving up from 154.
Right.
And yet, a lot of people in the sport seem to see your matchup as a battle between Tito's punching power and your speed. How do you see that?
I have punching power, too. He comes in up to 160 pounds, and he feels he can deal with the middleweight. I'm going to show him that he doesn't belong at the middleweight division.
Will you be a more elusive, speedier, more moving target than he's faced in the lower weight classes?
It's going to be like the Matador versus the Bull, but I'm going to show him I'm a Bull, too.
All right, William, good luck to you. Ask Tito for me, what does he know of Joppy's skills and what specifically about Joppy impresses him?
¿Qué sabes de la técnica de Joppy y qué es lo que te impresiona de él?
Bueno, Jopi es un gran peleador, es un peleador que es bastante inteligente en el ring, pero yo quiero subir al ring a ganar y lo voy a hacer.
He says he's a very good fighter, he's very intelligent in the ring, but I'm going to go up into the ring and win, and that's what I'm going to do.
When Tito moved from 147 to 154, I felt that he became more stable on his feet and a stronger, more well-rounded fighter. Does he expect the same thing to happen moving up to 160?
Cuando te mudaste de 147 a 154, que eras más estable, más completo en el ring, ¿eso va a volver a suceder cuando te muevas a 160?
Sí, así va a ser. Yo voy a estar mucho mejor, mucho más fuerte, y esta victoria se la voy a dedicar a toda mi gente de Puerto Rico y especialmente a todas las madres. Vamos a ser campeón de la 160.
He says, I'm going to be stronger, and I'm dedicating this fight to everybody in Puerto Rico, especially the mothers.
He's the reason this tournament is taking place, because he's willing to move up to 160 instead of staying at 154 to seek big money fights with De La Hoya and Mosley. Why is he doing this?
Que tú eres la razón por la cual se creó este torneo y que te has mudado al 160 en vez de quedarte en donde estás y pelear contra Mosley y De La Hoya. ¿Por qué has hecho esto?
Bueno, quiero una gran oportunidad para ser campeón de la 160, y cuando De La Hoya tuvo la oportunidad y Mosley han tenido la oportunidad, ellos no han querido subir al Super Welter, por eso me muevo a 160.
He says that this is a great opportunity for him in 160, and he says when they wanted to fight them on 100 at that weight, they haven't done it.
All right, so he'll wait and see whether they want to come up and meet him at 160, right?
Entonces, ¿los vas a esperar a ver si ellos suben a 160?
Sí, seguro que sí. Yo voy a ganar este torneo y voy a ganar el torneo de Sugar Ray Robinson y después esperaré por ellos. Sugar Ray Molly, Oscar, Roy Jones Jr. Ok, que vengan todos.
He says that he's going to win this tournament, and then he's going to wait for everybody. Oscar, Sugar Shane, and Roy Jones Jr. as well.
Muchas gracias, Tito.
Thank you.
Buena suerte. Many thanks, William.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Okay.
We'll see them both on May 12 in this same arena when we continue with the Middleweight Championship Series. Hopkins has already moved into the September 15 final. Who will take the other spot? Will it be Trinidad or Joppy? We'll have a final word on what happened here in the ring tonight in just a moment. Right now, let's look ahead to some upcoming programs again here.
¿Qué tan pronto supiste tú que tú eres tan igual de fuerte que él?
Yo siempre lo dije, que yo soy un peso mediano, y lo acabo de demostrar en la noche de hoy. Gracias a Dios por todo eso.
I've always said I was a middleweight, and I proved it tonight. I'm a real, true middleweight.
The questions in this fight were, could a real middleweight take your punch? Could you take a real middleweight punches?
La pregunta en esta pelea eran que si un peso mediano de verdad podía aguantar tu golpe, y que si tú podías aguantar los golpes de un mediano legítimo.
Eso era una buena pregunta, pero ustedes vieron, y le doy gracias a HBO, ustedes vieron que yo soy un peso mediano, y al mejor promotor Don King, yo soy un peso mediano de verdad, y lo demostré en el día de hoy.
You saw that tonight, that I'm a real, true middleweight, and thanks to Don King, I won.
Were you surprised that he was able to continue after the early knockdowns?
¿Te sorprendió que él pudo continuar después de que lo tumbaron varias veces?
Bueno, él vino en una gran condición, y esto, hay personas cuando vienen con buena condición aguantan montones de golpes, pero yo sabía que yo lo iba a noquear.
It kind of surprised me, but he came in good condition like I knew he would. Great fighters like him come in good condition to withstand all this, but I knew I was going to do it.
Can we assume from this victory that you will give up your junior middleweight titles?
Podemos asumir ahora que con esta victoria tú vas a dejar los pesos de junior.
Es posible, eso nos reunimos con el mejor promotor Don King, con mi padre, y veremos qué vamos a hacer con los títulos medianos.
It's very possible. We got to meet with Don King, the best promoter, and my dad, and we'll see what happens.
Do you want to go down below 160 pounds to fight again, or are you happy at this weight?
¿Tú quieres bajar menos de las 170 libras o estás contento y feliz en este peso?
No, estoy feliz en este peso. Eso lo dialogaremos con el Don King, con mi padre, pero yo creo que ya soy campeón mediano y para la gloria de Puerto Rico.
I'm happy with the 160-pound weight. We're going to again talk to my promoter, and then I'm happy and I'm staying there.
All right, talk to us about Bernard Hopkins. Will Hopkins be a more difficult opponent because he is more versatile than Joppy?
Dinos algo de Hopkins. ¿Tú crees que él va a ser más difícil porque tiene más versatilidad que Joppy? ¿Qué dinos algo de él?
Bueno, Hopkins, yo sé que él va a venir bien preparado para pelear conmigo, yo estoy seguro que sí, cuando yo le ponga mi mano, la pelea se va a acabar por nocaut también.
I know Hopkins is going to come well prepared to fight with me, but once I hit him, the fight's going to be over.
Do you feel that you have to beat Hopkins to really feel that you are the one middleweight champion?
Tú sientes que tienes que ganarle a Hopkins para comprobar y probar de una vez que tú sí eres el mejor campeón mediano que hay.
Bueno, ya le acabo de ganar al mejor, para mí, el mejor campeón. Y si hay que hacerlo, voy a noquear a Bernard Hopkins y así comprobar que soy el mejor peleador del mundo y el mejor peso mediano.
It really doesn't matter. I beat the best middleweight tonight. Now I am the best. If I got to beat Hopkins to prove it, I'm going to prove that I am the best middleweight.
Así vamos a hacer.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again, Tito.
¡Viva Puerto Rico!
Quiero enviar un mensaje a todas las madres puertorriqueñas, especialmente a mi esposa, a mi madre Irma, que está conmigo, y que viva Puerto Rico siempre. Mañana vamos a celebrar, y saludo también a Eric Quiñones, mi Universe 2001. Gracias a todos.
I want to send a special Mother's Day to my mother, my wife, and all the Puerto Rican mothers. Tomorrow we're having a celebration in Puerto Rico, and we want to congratulate Miss Universe, Miss Puerto Rico.
It's already Mother's Day, Tito.
It's okay. Congratulations. Gracias, mi gente. Los quiero mucho, Puerto Rico. Mañana vamos a celebrar en grande. Los espero en la puerta Luis Muñoz Marín. Besos para todas las madres.
Thank you, Puerto Rico. We're going to see each other tomorrow. We'll see you, and we love you all.
Thank you, Tito. All right, back to you, Jim.
All right, thank you, Larry. So you can lay aside title holder, as is the veteran Bernard Hopkins. And now they will meet, presumably September 15 here in Madison Square Garden, sometime in the fall at least, on TVKO pay-per-view. This man, Bernard Hopkins, and Felix Trinidad will settle the middleweight issue. For the moment, this is the happiest man in the arena because he just got the chance to collect an extra 7 figures for the privilege of fighting Trinidad instead of Joppy. What are the important lessons for you to take away from what you saw in the ring?
Exactly. I feel like I just hit the lottery, even though I ain't win the tournament yet. I've seen a lot of good and bad. Trinidad would never be able to do the things he did to me that he did to Joppy. He had the perfect opponent, the perfect style, a shorter guy, a guy that's not a really big puncher, and Trinidad capitalized on it. He fought a great fight.
You've been saying all along that Trinidad's style will be easier for you in the final than Joppy's would have been. Why?
One is because Joppy is a slap-you type of guy, a cutie. Trinidad fights just like it is. He's right there like an alley fight. That's what I like. He's not backing up, and he's going to go against mano to mano. He's going to test his will against yours. That's the type of fight I am, that Philly fighter. There's going to be a lot of infighting with me in Trinidad, and we're going to see who's going to back up.
Bernard, Fernando Vargas squared off and traded with him, paid a big price. Joppy decided to square off and trade with him, paid a big price. You going to square off and trade with him?
I'll do anything that I have to do to win the fight, and I believe that's one of the ways that I will be successful. It's because these guys did square off and traded with him, but they left their defense shattered, down at their waist, up high or up low. They didn't really try to set their will, put their will on Trinidad, and Trinidad knew that these guys wasn't physically strong as he was. I'm a physically strong middleweight. I can punch, people know I can take a punch, and I got speed, and I got a little movement to give him problems. Trinidad is going to realize that I'm a true middleweight, 6 foot tall, just as well as he is, and that I've been here for over 11, 12 years, and he'll see the difference. He'll see the difference in my experience, and he'll see a difference in my power.
He's excited, he's happy, and he's a little bit wealthier tonight than he would have been if Joppy had won. We'll see you in the fall, Bernard.
Thank you, Larry and George. Take care. Thanks, HBO. Undisputed history.
All right, Bernard Hopkins against Felix Trinidad sometime this fall. I can't wait. Let's go back up.
Hopkins continued the campaign of belligerence at multiple press stops, including an incident in Puerto Rico that saw pre-fight hype become hysteria when Hopkins once again threw the Puerto Rican flag to the ground.
We are going to show who's the best.
This is a big event.
Who's the best champion?
Super Bowl for me.
And who's going to be Sugar Ray Robinson's successor?
This is a fight that all fight fans should watch because you really got two executioners in the ring.
Tito!
Trinidad.
Excitamente, excitamente, excitamente. I could hardly wait. Fantastical. Whew. I feel good all over.
I'd like to thank Trinidad for not ducking out of the tournament and showing that he's a great champion by fighting another great champion.
Right now, I'm the WBA champion. And I'm sure that at the end, I will have the 3 world titles.
Countdown to Trinidad versus Hopkins for the undisputed middleweight world championship. On September 15th, Felix Trinidad and Bernard Hopkins will face off for the opportunity to become the first undisputed middleweight champion since Marvelous Marvin Hagler held the title 15 years ago. Felix Tito Trinidad, undefeated at 40-0 with 33 knockouts. He has already successfully unified the welterweight and super welterweight divisions. One more victory and he steps closer to boxing immortality. Bernard the Executioner Hopkins at 39-2-1 with 28 knockouts. He has 13 middleweight title defenses, 9 by knockout. One more win and he will tie the legendary Carlos Monzon for the most middleweight title defenses in boxing history. September 15th will be the defining fight of their careers.
For Trinidad, it's an opportunity for him to really stake a claim at being an all-time great. For Bernard Hopkins, he becomes the ultimate working-class boxing hero.
Whatever they do from here on in, they're going to be defined by this fight.
If Felix Trinidad loses, as great as he was, his career in a lot of ways is going to be defined by his loss to Bernard Hopkins. If Bernard Hopkins wins, this will basically make him immortal. If he loses, then maybe he's just another so-so middleweight champion. So both fighters have a lot to lose and a lot to gain, and that makes for explosive fireworks, and that makes for the kind of historic event that I think people want to be at.
All that he's doing, he is going to pay. I don't know how I'm going to punish him, but in the ring, he's going to pay.
My aim was to seek and destroy. Once I seek you and find you, I'm going to destroy you.
You have to be aware of his tricks. Fight him face to face to show him that there's no fear.
Coming up, a closer look at the historic Middleweight World Championship Series and a profile of each of the fighters.
To keep Holmes and Joppy, Bernard Hopkins, we are the middleweight champions. Well, I am the champion, and they are the holders.
I unified in 147, I unified in 154, and I will do it again in 160.
Earlier this year, at the legendary Madison Square Garden, the Middleweight World Championship Series was announced. The undefeated Felix Trinidad and 3 middleweight champions, Bernard Hopkins, Keith Holmes, and William Joppy, put their titles in jeopardy for the opportunity to become the first undisputed middleweight champion in over 15 years.
The unification of the middleweight division, which has always been a glamour division after the heavyweight division, is very important at this time when people are looking for champions in a singular sense. You want to have one champion, and people crave that.
This tournament has produced 2 good results for fight fans. One, you're unifying the middleweight championship for the first time in almost 20 years. But 2, because you've had so many good champions at middleweight prior to this tournament, you've had champions fighting champions. So you literally had the best fighters at 160 pounds, all throwing their titles on the line, putting their reputations and their careers on the line to define and crown one undisputed middleweight champion. And the public is the clear beneficiary of that.
And this is what makes it what it is, because you got the best fighting the best. You give the people what they want, and they will respond in kind.
I look forward to this, that we have the first unified champions as Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
In the tournament's first elimination round, IBF title holder Bernard Hopkins successfully defended his title against WBC champion Keith Holmes in a 12-round unanimous decision.
Hopkins handled Holmes almost like a little boy. Dictated the fight, maybe won 11 of the 12 rounds. Not an exciting fight, mind you. Bernard Hopkins' fight. It was his every second of the way.
Keith Holmes knew that he, inside, wasn't going to win this fight, but Keith didn't want to expose himself to be countered or caught in the mix of throwing punches where he was going to get knocked out or get badly beaten.
In the second fight of the series, Felix Trinidad, stepping up in weight class, surprised many with a crushing 5-round knockout of WBA champion William Joppy.
Trinidad-Joppy fight was far more exciting. Several knockdowns, knockout domination.
What we're seeing with Felix Trinidad is that his power has progressed with him, and oddly enough, it seems like his hands have gotten much...
Flying out of the box office, and I think that we're going to be in for an electric night.
This venue is perfect for what I consider to be a perfect fight.
I win in this tournament at Madison Square Garden. I am going to add another big win, like they have been in the past.
Unifying the belt is history, that's legacy, and that's good for myself and good for boxing. Because now you own that particular piece in history forever.
Next, the story of a troubled youth who turned his life around to become a world champion. And a look at the remarkable career of Puerto Rico's rising superstar. Champion for more than 6 years. Bernard Hopkins is one of the most dedicated athletes in the sport and a true survivor. His is the remarkable story of a troubled youth who turned his life around to become a boxing hero.
This is the Raymond Rose, and this is was one of the toughest projects in the city of Philadelphia. You had to learn how to protect yourself. Growing up in this area, we grew up in this house right here. They didn't have none of this new stuff here, but it was on this side here that we grew up at. This is the elementary school I went to when I was from kindergarten to 6th grade. It was a kind of atmosphere where you really didn't get a chance to learn because there was so much other stuff happening, and the teachers was trying, but they was just as paranoid and scared as some of the students.
It was in the schoolyard of this elementary school that Hopkins fought his earliest bouts.
A lot of history in the schoolyard. Feel good to be back, especially as a world champion.
Although Hopkins showed early promise as a boxer, the lure of the street proved too great. And by the time he was 17, he was arrested and sent away to prison. During the 5 years Hopkins was incarcerated, he rehabilitated himself and developed the ambition and discipline to become a champion.
I had to really realize that I wanted to be what I wanted to be now. That didn't take place until like a year in that situation. And once I realized that I didn't want to stay here for my whole life, because there's things that can happen in there where that 5 years can turn to 15 years.
After being released at 22, Hopkins never looked back. Nowadays, whether or not a fight is on the horizon, the boxer keeps a rigorous 6 days a week training schedule. Shortly after turning professional, Hopkins started working with Bowie Fischer as his trainer, and over the years they developed a close personal bond.
Well, Bernard and I, we have a very good relationship. It's more like a father and son relationship, more so than just a fighting or a trainer's relationship. Bernard does just about everything right in boxing. We slept together, we cried together, we ate together, and we rejoiced together. We held the belts together. And now we're going to be holding 4 belts. That's going to be real great.
Under Fischer's guidance, Hopkins won his first middleweight title and has gone on to defend it 13 times, with 9 knockouts, beating Marvin Hagler's record. According to Hopkins, his toughest defenses to date were the 2 fights against Antoine Eccles.
I said I've never been hit by Tito. I will find out, hopefully, when we mix it up. But Eccles right now, as far as I'm concerned, was the hardest punch in the middleweight division that I have fought. Quote unquote, tough. He's a threat to any top contender or champion.
For every fight, Hopkins dons a hood to emulate his nickname, the Executioner.
When I put the mask on and they hollering execution time and we go out in the ring, I'm on stage. You know, this is like, you know what I mean? Now imagine how Madonna feels. You know, this is lights, cameras, action. Once I labeled myself the Executioner, I had to go out and perform like an executioner. I mean, it's a mental game with me right now in boxing. Physical part, I've been doing it for years. 99% of this sport is mental.
Living up to his nickname, Hopkins defeated Keith Holmes in the first fight of the Middleweight World Championship Series. He took the WBC belt from Holmes and also secured the 13th defense of his IBF title. If Hopkins can now beat Trinidad, he will unify the division and tie Carlos Monzon for the most middleweight title defenses in history.
He had 13, 14 straight title defenses. I mean, that's unheard of in any weight division without a guy moving up in weight or moving down. He stayed at his weight class, he dominated his weight class, he defended his title, and he got defenses right after each other. That's what I've been doing. That's what I want to continue to do.
As important as title defenses are for this fighter, one thing is for sure, he is clear about his priorities.
So I'm fighting for right here. Family. Security. Need money.
Right now, Bernard Hopkins has only one thing in mind: to prepare for the upcoming middleweight championship fight against Felix Tito Trinidad.
This fight means the world for Bernard Hopkins. It means everything. It gives him an opportunity to really prove that he is the best middleweight in the world since the great Ray Robinson.
Winning. I have to win, and I have to win to the point where there's no doubt in anyone's mind that I didn't win the fight. But winning is the first thing. What comes after that is great.
It was won.
Felix Tito Trinidad is arguably the hottest boxer in the world today. Already he has fought and beaten the best in 3 different weight divisions. Now, with every passing fight, this young boxer from Cupe Alto, Puerto Rico, makes a strong case to be considered boxing's pound-for-pound best.
You have a very special athlete in Felix Trinidad. When you think about it, he is going up in weight class and doing something that even the great Tommy Hearns and Ray Leonard didn't do. They had losses throughout their trek as they amassed different championships in multiple weight classes. Even Marvin Hagler, as good as he was only a middleweight throughout his entire career. But to go in multiple weight classes and be as dominant as you are, we could be seeing the best fighter pound for pound of the last 25 years.
Felix Tito Trinidad is not only known for the impressive way that he disposes of opponents in the ring, out of the ring, he also has a contagious smile and friendly demeanor that the camera and his fans around the world love. From the words of his promoter, Don King, one shouldn't be fooled by his out-of-the-ring gentlemanly ways.
Tito is bad. While Bernard has the reputation of the executioner, Tito is the executioner. He executes you with a smile. You know what I mean? He be tearing you to pieces, but he's always a gentleman after he has lain there on the floor, decapitated, cut apart. He apologizes and says, what a nice guy you are. It was a nice fight.
What impresses me most about Felix Trinidad is his ability to mentally prepare himself for a fight. He seems to come into every fight knowing what he's doing, knowing how to win.
And he grows with his punching power is becoming more awesome, more devastating, than it was when he was a welterweight.
Trinidad's first fight as a middleweight was against two-time WBA champion William Joppy. In this bout, the second of the middleweight championship series, the Puerto Rican powerhouse started his attack early and was relentless throughout the fight. Joppy was knocked down 3 times before the referee finally stopped the fight in the 5th round.
Joppy himself said he's never been hit that hard before. So I can't ask Bernard that yet, because I haven't got that. But I say, how long? Not long. We'll be able to ask him too. How does he feel about being hit by Tito Trinidad? Tito Trinidad has had a remarkable record. He's already achieved greatness, but I want him to achieve immortality.
To be able to achieve immortality is very big for me and for Puerto Rico. Many years after I retired, the name of Felix Tito Trinidad would be mentioned as one of the greatest boxers and one of the immortals.
In beating an array of tough opponents, including 3 Olympic gold medalists, the newly crowned WBA middleweight champion becomes the 7th fighter in history to win championships at welterweight and middleweight. He now prepares to face IBF and WBC champion Bernard the Executioner Hopkins in the final fight of this great unifying middleweight championship series.
I think we're looking at something really special with Felix. I think he is the kind of fighter that likes to fight. He's almost a throwback to the era when guys fought for pride, for the love of the sport. And he has been on a remarkable run in the last 3 years, and it's almost like he's touched by destiny. And it's just fantastic to watch that. And that kind of run, you know, is almost like Bernard Hopkins is standing in the way of destiny. And it's going to be a magnificent fight.
As we find out who will rise to the challenge and become the undisputed middleweight champion of the world.
So the battle lines are drawn for next Saturday night in Madison Square Garden. And joining us now to talk about their upcoming battle, Bernard Hopkins from the Prince Ranch, where he's been training in Las Vegas, and Felix Tito Trinidad from the Marriott Hotel in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Bernard, I'll start with you. The cap says war, and your wildly confrontational behavior at news conferences both in New York and Puerto Rico has Puerto Rican fans wanting to go to war against you. Did you do the things you were doing to call attention to the fight or to get under the skin of your opponent?
Neither. I made a statement that I felt that I was being disrespected. Even to today, I felt that I was being disrespected, not only through Felix Trinidad, father, but through the Spanish community once we began our fight tour. And I reacted the way that I felt that needed to be reacted. It wasn't wildly, as far as I understand, it was justifiable, and it wasn't to get under his skin. But if it did get under his skin, then so be it. He'll take care of it September 15th, I hope.
Tito, what Bernard did, particularly grabbing the Puerto Rican flag, has your fans very angry. What has been its effect on you and your preparation for the fight?
Bueno, a mí ni a todos los puertorriqueños.
What Bernard did was neither favorable for me or to the Puerto Rican fans. That is very disrespectful. He shouldn't have done that. But on September 15th, him and I are going to be alone in the ring, and we will take care of that.
Eso no se le hace a ninguna persona.
Tito, 2 of Bernard's recent opponents, Antoine Eccles and Keith Holmes, accused him of fouling them to disrupt their rhythm and to distract them in the fight. Do you expect him to do that to you?
No, yo lo voy a castigar fuerte. Yo creo que él no va a tener la oportunidad de hacer nada de lo que.
I am prepared to do whatever it takes. I know what he's done, but he's not going to be able to do it to me. On the 15th, I will be prepared for whatever he brings, and we're going to take care of business in the ring.
Bernard, let's you and I talk about fouling. When the momentum in the Vargas fight seemed to be turning against Felix Trinidad, he hit Fernando Vargas directly on the cup. If you're getting the better of him, do you expect him to foul you?
I'm expecting him to do anything to survive. I'm expecting him to do what a drowning man would do. If he found out he's drowning, he would try to pull the other man down to drown with him. I'm going to make sure that I keep that at a minimum. It's the third man that's important in this fight, and that's the referee. One thing I won't do, I won't complain, not only to Trinidad, but I won't complain to the referee. If he wanted to take it into an alley, we can take it into the alley. That's the unique thing about Bernard Hopkins. He can fight all types of topics, and we can start in the alley if he chooses to.
Bernard, fight fans see Tito's performances against David Reed, against Fernando Vargas, against William Joppy, and they see a devastating, overpowering puncher. Do you agree?
Well, I haven't been in it yet to disagree or agree with it, but I can tell you also that who's saying that he's the greatest puncher in that division in the last 10, 15 years? Why not these guys could have weak chins? Who said that David Reed got the best of chins? Who said that Fernando Vargas has the best of chins? But in saying that, I will let you know September 15th whether he can hit or cannot hit, because I'm looking to hit him just as hard as he hit the other guys that he have fought. So right now, I can't even answer whether he can hit or not. I question the guys that he hit on the chin. I question more of what they have to bring to the table than what he had to bring to the table.
Felix, is there something about Bernard Hopkins which makes him vastly different from Reed, Vargas, and Joppi? Or is this another fight in which your weapons will be too devastating for the opponent?
Bueno, lo que va a pasar es que what Bernard Hopkins does, I am prepared for. I am going to show him what Tito Trinidad can do. And on the 15th, I am prepared to do battle. And if he wants to fight dirty and all the other stuff, I am prepared, willing, and able.
So, Tito, what kind of a fight will fans expect to see?
The fans can expect a great fight, a real tough fight, but only one winner, and that's going to be Tito Trinidad.
Bernard, what kind of a fight do you expect?
Well, I think the fans and myself is going to expect a fight that's going to be challenging, and I think it's going to be the will of wills. I think that when fans realize that Bernard Hopkins is not only the smarter man, but he's the best man that night, and they're just going to have to suck it up and deal with it and move on. But they're going to see the technical fight. They're going to see something that they've never seen in Hopkins because he never had that quality opponent to prove his gifts. But they will see it come September 15th, and they will see me expose a fighter that's being called great to make him look ordinary.
All right, our thanks now to the two middleweight titleists who will unify the championship of that division next Saturday night, Felix Trinidad and Bernard Hopkins. Thank you both.
Stuart, Emmanuel, it's been a long delay. You've been involved in this before, particularly when you were training Nassim Hamed against Marco Antonio Barrera back in April. Will the delay have any effect on the fight?
I don't think the delay is going to have an effect once again because both are experiencing the same thing. I think the biggest thing that's going to be concerned is just fighting each other, and the emotions that they're going to be bringing is just building up to a point where it's going to be a very exciting fight. I think a lot earlier than I originally thought. And the fact that Trinidad felt good enough earlier in the meeting yesterday to predict a first-round knockout, that really surprised me a lot. Because, you know, Hopkins is such a outspoken, talkative guy to the point that sometimes he actually becomes verbally abusive. And it's really upsetting Trinidad to a great degree. I don't think he's ever experienced anything like that.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you think will win and why?
I can't pick a winner on this one. This one is a little too much for me. I'm going back and forth. I like Hopkins a lot still, surprisingly. And a lot of the people that we have found in the boxing circles here, unless they were Puerto Ricans, surprisingly, have had a little feeling that Hopkins is going to pull it out. So I really don't know. But, you know, it's just hard to go against a guy like Felix Trinidad. He's just such a fantastic fighter.
All right, well, we shall see. Let's take a look and see who our America Online audience believes will win the fight. 63% have Felix Trinidad winning over Bernard Hopkins.
Between Felix Trinidad and Bernard Hopkins, and you see the difference in age. Trinidad the younger by 8 years. Hopkins with a 2-inch height advantage, rare if ever. The situations where Trinidad has gone into the ring and faced a taller man. 3-inch reach advantage, however, for Tito. And they both weighed in well under the 160-pound limit after having spent 2.5 weeks at or near the weight limit, a highly unusual experience for fighters. Prepares to enter the ring, wearing garb entirely different from his usual black executioner's outfit. That symbolism regarded by Bernard and the people around him as not entirely appropriate tonight.
And he is expecting to be.
Felix Trinidad has been here in New York since September 9. He never left.
The evening. Introducing to you first on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red, white, and blue trunks, hailing from and representing Coupe Alto, Puerto Rico. He weighed in at 158 1/2 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign in the ring with 40 wins, no losses, 33 wins coming by way of knockout. here is the 5-time world champion in 3 weight divisions, the current WBA middleweight champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome El Gran Campeón Puertorriqueño, introducing Felix Tito Trinidad. And his opponent across the ring on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red trunks with silver trim, fighting out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He weighed in at a trim and ready 157 pounds. His record stands at 39 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, with 28 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, he is making the 14th defense of his title. Here is the WBC and IBF middleweight champion of the world, introducing Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. Once again, a referee in charge, Steve Smoger, now to give instructions.
Gentlemen, you're giving your instructions at the weigh-in, both in English and Spanish. Please obey my commands. Protect yourself at all times. Respect the bell. Touch gloves. Touch them up. Respect, respect. Touch them, Bernard. Let's go, let's go.
The fight to survive and thrive have always made New York
over the top by Hopkins. As De La Hoya learned, up on that front foot.
He's on the mark, and Hopkins' job is to keep him off the mark.
Hopkins backs away from their first chest-to-chest clinch. Hopkins tries to go inside again.
Bernard Hopkins want to keep hugging and pushing this guy.
Hopkins again lands a right. Trinidad misses his. Hopkins lands his own. Trinidad threw a limited number of punches for him in round 1. Now he lands a right hand.
Hopkins expecting the first couple of rounds. Very surprised.
Campbell Morgan's Trinidad early.
Just jumped right on him. He said he wasn't afraid. Knowing that he's intent.
Hard right hand by Hopkins. Biggest blow of the fight. Trinidad momentarily stunned.
Bell, 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 bell. Bell, bell, bell. Hopkins has been working at distance with his jab, hoping to get.
Work the jab. Work the jab. He tries to get started with it here.
When you see him up on his right foot like that, he's on the mark, getting ready to deliver like a.
How do you keep him out of that position?
By moving to his left, so he always have to pick that foot up and set it down.
Hopkins says he'll be watching his feet.
Leading with the left hook there instead of the jab. Now Trinidad fires his own right hand across the top and gets the top of Hopkins' head.
That's what you don't want. Letting your back touch the ropes with Trinidad.
A .com gambling service, and then bet the $100,000 on himself to win the fight.
Here in round 3.
But Bernard Hopkins isn't fading.
No, and the bet looks pretty good.
And he's making Trinidad think about coming more to him.
Okay, Jim, I got a 2-1, 29-28. And Bernard would take that step to the right and rush in. Tito put him on the way out. But
Trinidad opens up, lands 2 power shots. Hopkins tries to fire back immediately. Trinidad misses with the right. Hopkins lands his own. Backs Tito up. Trinidad getting as good as he dishes out. Now lands the short right hand inside. Power against power. Which man is stronger?
Well, perhaps he's realized so far that.
No, that punch can't be dealt with, Larry. You got to stay smart.
He has begun to fire here in round 4, but. He's had pockets of brilliance.
Off the neck, off that.
Bernard, once again, is spending too much time on the ropes.
Hard right hand by Hopkins, lands flush. Continually moving to his left to stay away from Trinidad's left. Hopkins misses the right, Trinidad misses the left.
Make him miss with the right hands.
Of standing in front of Trinidad. He hasn't done much of that.
Use a lot of his footwork, legs up, moving around. That's not good.
He's got his back against the ropes. He's living dangerously. He's still outscoring Trinidad. They fight after the bell, and Hopkins dishes out twice as much.
This is the kind of champ, Trinidad, that you're going to have to knock him out to win it. You may as well forget trying to win this thing on points.
Which is a very low punch output by CompuBox numbers. Now Trinidad lands a big right hand against the ropes. Remember Trinidad's amazing stamina. Hopkins lands a right, Trinidad lands a left. Felix is a marathon runner who builds the tempo from round to round, and he's trying to build it with the left hook right here. 4 straight left hands by Trinidad. But Trinidad's cornering him. What are the signs that he's wearing down?
He went to his ring, to his corner, and laid his legs flat out. Trinidad is still sitting in a sitting position.
Hopkins looks pretty good here. A furious pace in round 6. By far the best round of the fight.
Back to the ropes again, Hopkins. Because every time he hits you, you are still lingering on. The damage lingers on and starts to accumulate.
4 rounds to 2, 58-56.
Well, Hopkins is giving him the left hook because if he's able to land one jab and stay a little closer, get him keep it flat. That's what you want. If he's going to hit you, let him be out of position to do it good. Ooh, fainting.
Chopping right hand by Hopkins.
Vulnerability of Trinidad.
If you go by CompuBox numbers, Hopkins has outlanded Tito in every round.
2 fights. We're hearing about him and seeing him now. A geriatric wonder.
Tito gets him against the ropes.
I'd like to see what happened in the 10, 11, and 12 with the geriatrics.
Neither man came here tonight expecting to lose. Hopkins believes. Whether Trinidad will be able to beat the belief out of him remains to be seen. But right now, Bernard has skills as he continues to outbox Tito.
I don't believe what I'm seeing. I don't believe it.
And now Trinidad shuffles his own feet to try to dazzle Bernard, and Bernard says,
playing into Hopkins' hand now with the foolishness.
Tito. Neither man has gone to the body as much as he might. Maybe the critical difference will come in the next few rounds if one man decides to focus on the ribcage.
He's gone out of the window now.
Trying to break Bernard down with power shots. Hopkins countering back twice with the left hook.
Lay on that left hand of Hopkins once. He's going to get him with that overhand right. All about the best fighter who can take it.
Harold Letterman gave Tito Trinidad the first round, I think, generously. Now, even on Letterman's card, Hopkins can stand up the rest of the way.
Trinidad has tried. That's where he can ring home if he can just get him in.
Because he's just refusing to bend to Tito's will.
Maybe he should have.
What Mark Antonio Barrera did, walking into big punches, he came out. We're seeing that.
That's the big surprise of the night.
Without a single penalized foul.
A shot.
The closest we came was Trinidad elbowing Hopkins. Bowie Fischer tells Bernard Hopkins if he keeps firing the jab.
That's what he's been trying to do all night. That's what he's waiting on.
Trinidad got in a good shot on Hopkins' neck. Bernard lands a straight right hand up the pipe.
He was able to hit him with the right hand and move out of the way.
And there's another big right hand.
I'm going to get you some more, hit you, and get out of the way.
And
And another right hand for Hopkins. This is a cold, clinical.
Jim, 7 rounds to 2, 88-83. Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins gets off first every time he lays the jab at a straight right. I think Felix would come in on an angle. Gets off first and hurts him all the time.
It depends on that. He expects that somewhere along the way, it will pay the difference. And if it doesn't...
Trinidad got the left hand on. He's leaning on the Hopkins' left hand now. That's what he wants. Puts his weight on your left hand and throws his overhand right. Oh, Hopkins beating him to the punch, though.
You know, George, Trinidad has landed some big shots, but he hasn't hurt Hopkins. After the Joppy fight, there seemed to be no question about Trinidad's viability as a 160-pound fighter, a middleweight. But maybe the question reopens itself as the result of the way that Hopkins has been able to take Trinidad's punches tonight.
Trinidad is spending a lot of himself right here because he's been taking punishment. We're seeing the heart of a real champion in Trinidad because he's come through some serious fire.
This is the determination of Felix Trinidad.
Trinidad is going to have to take some chances.
And it's being matched by the determination of Bernard Hopkins. What an awesome show. What a great, great fight as we come down the stretch in the 10th round.
Blood coming out of Trinidad's nose.
Most of the crowd on its feet as they watch the two fighters trade through the round and beyond. 14 times in his career. Trinidad 8. Hopkins with a prohibitive lead on Harold Letterman's scorecard as we come to the last 2 rounds.
Careful with him, he's still that powerful puncher.
This is another huge round. Trinidad has landed maybe 2 punches in the round. Bernard is taking target practice. Trying to lift their man. Hopkins just keeps pounding away. Astonishing.
He's bound to disappoint you.
Big right hand by Hopkins.
Disappointed us, Larry. He's going for safety and get a knockout. You just can't trust judges.
Well, Hopkins still wants to fight. Trinidad without success. Hopkins imposing his will and his skill on the man who is tonight.
Trinidad continues to come.
Oh, huge right hand. Huge right hand by Hopkins. Down goes Trinidad. He's never been knocked out. This fight is over. Steve Smoker stops it. So physically beaten up in his career, never before knocked out, goes down in the middle of the 12th round and cannot continue as Bernard Hopkins.
Bernard, the executioner, Hopkins.
Very much, Jim. Bernard Hopkins is telling people, I'm not great yet, but I will be. At 36, he still thinks he has time to get better. Bernard, why were you able to master a fighter who is considered so devastating?
Well, first, Larry, I'd like to thank HBO, all the people. I'd like to thank my advisor and my friend, Lou DiBella, for giving me the opportunity not to take the bad rap that was on Bernard Hopkins. And I'd like to thank you for being not biased, but being truthful, and everybody at HBO. Larry, I'd like to first, hope that the troops and things work out okay. With America, USA is strong. We will knock anybody out that try to go against us. Larry, I trained hard for this fight. I always have a good soundbite to give everyone. I'm not a dog guy, but I wanted to show my greatness, and I believe I came halfway doing that.
Was there a little misdirection in you indicating that you were just going to try to dive into him and smother him when you knew all along that you felt that you could show the skills to outbox him that people didn't think you had?
Yes, Larry. One thing I knew, and I mentioned it all through the media, I said, once Trinidad find out he can't hurt me, the fight's over. Larry, I got one of the Philadelphia chins, iron chins, but I just happen to have skills with it. But I knew, Larry, that if I take my time, set my shots up, as long as the fight come, the more pain that I was going to put on Trinidad. I just like to thank HBO for giving me the opportunity. And I just thank you for saying the good things about me when I do good. I ain't going to let you talk.
How were you able to avoid his potent left hand?
Well, Larry, you take the best weapon from the guy that they're used against you. If the guy has a gun, you get to the gun. You don't run from it because you got a better chance on smothering or got a better chance on getting to the gun. I had to take his left hand away from him and smother his shots and keep my defense up, a good defense. But I do have a good defense just as well as an offense. Trinidad is a left hook guy. That's all he had. And I've been watching him for years. Once I took his left hook away, and every time he set up, I watched his leg and his feet, and I knew to move to the opposite way.
All right, let's take a look at the last round at the knockout. Now, you knew he was weakening from several rounds before this, right?
Yes, I knew right about the fourth round when I knew I hit him with a good counter right hook, and he sort of dazed and he said, ugh, and I wanted to follow up, but not follow up recklessly, because I know he got a piece and dish in the left hook, but he never hurt me, Larry. I mean it. He never hurt me. No shape, form in his fight.
All right, so in the last couple of rounds, you were fighting with more abandon and then the control you were fighting in before.
Yes, I was doing just that. Larry, I don't know what you're going to do after this fight, this interview stuff, but you ought to be a trainer in the corner because, you got the blueprint on Bernard Hopkins and you read it well. Exactly, just what you said is what I was doing.
God bless the fire department.
God bless the fire department in the Philadelphia, the police, Philadelphia, all around the world. Larry, they are the Warriors. I'm serious.
What does it mean to you now to have
in Philadelphia
tied Carlos Monzon's middleweight record of 14 consecutive defenses?
It's great, Larry. It's history. But I want to be judged by my peers, not by me reading my own articles. I think when it's all done, Bernard Hopkins will be known as one of the greatest middleweights that came along at all times. I don't want to say that. I want the world and the public to judge me, and I can live with whatever they come up with. But in my heart, I knew that I would get another chance in life to redeem myself from what I used to be into what I am now. I can show example not only for boxing, but for people in general. Larry, I am the American dream. I am the American story.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Congratulations
Larry,
again.
As always, you're looking younger, not older.
So do you. Jim.
My greatness. But anytime, hold up, I'm not just saying this ain't politics. I run my own show, I'm my own manager. Whenever you need a chance to redeem yourself, I got to get the millions, we can do it. I'm not a guy that duck people. All right, that's on record. Y'all hear that, reporters? Great show, Trinidad. I will come back to San Juan. Listen, me and Lou DeBell Entertainment, Don King will come back to San Juan, and I'm a man. I will apologize to the Puerto Rican fans for throwing the flag down from my heart, because that's a true champion. We set it up within a month, and I'll be there. Okay. Is that good? Thank you. I hope y'all accept it.
Dígale que yo.
Don, you hear that?
Yo quisiera eso también. Yo quisiera.
San Juan.
I would like.
In the same arena, and I want to apologize to the Puerto Rican fans, but they are great people. They are my people. They got black in them.
One second.
Okay.
Yo quisiera
Don King, I like to thank Don King Production.
Que quiera ir a Puerto Rico.
I like to thank Don.
Yo quisiera también, como él dijo, que quisiera disculparse con todos los puertorriqueños. En San Juan, donde sea, quisiera que pueda ir a San Juan y disculparse con todos los puertorriqueños personalmente.
He says he would go to Puerto Rico and ask to be forgiven for what he did. I would love for him to do that.
Thank you very much. Tito, were you surprised or shocked at how well Bernard Hopkins was able to box?
¿Te sorprendió o te asombró lo bueno que él pudo boxear?
Sí, yo sé que yo siempre lo he dicho, que él es un gran peleador, un hombre que tiene mucha defensa. No sé si se recuerdan, esas son mis palabras. Y demostró en la noche de hoy que es un gran campeón. Yo vine a ganar, pero me ganó, eso yo lo acepto.
I've always said Bernard Hopkins was a great fighter and a good boxer. I came to win. He beat me tonight. I accept it.
All right, tell us, Tito, before the fight, they made you rewrap your hands in a different way, with only one layer of gauze and tape instead of 2 layers of tape. Did that affect your power?
Antes de la pelea te hicieron que te vendara las manos otra vez con solamente una línea para trapo. ¿Eso te afectó el poder tuyo?
No, yo soy siempre un gran pegador. No importa, sinceramente no importa la manera que me venden, si mi padre me va a vender con todo el corazón.
I'm a great puncher. It doesn't matter how my hands were bandaged. It was just, that's the way it went.
Did you realize toward the end of the fight that you needed a knockout to win?
¿Estabas tú pendiente? ¿Realizabas tú que necesitabas un knockout al final de la pelea para ganar?
Es posible, de verdad que la pelea, yo pienso que la pelea estaba bien pareja. Voy y repito, Bernal es un gran peleador. Me dio buenos golpes, yo también le di buenos golpes a él. Fue inteligente y de verdad que, como quiera, hay que aceptarlo porque me ganó. Y es un gran peleador, yo lo he dicho.
It was possible that I might have needed a knockout, but I thought that the fight was very close and that I could still win without having to knock him out.
When you went down at the end, how surprising was that for you, having never ever lost a professional prize fight?
Cuando tú te caíste a lo último, ¿cuánto te sorprendió eso? En saber que nunca tú habías perdido una pelea profesional.
Sí, es verdad, yo nunca había caído más de una sola vez. Sinceramente, estaba bien consciente de que me había tumbado nuevamente y estaba tratando de recuperarme lo antes posible. Pero el árbitro detuvo el combate, de verdad que yo acepto lo que hizo el árbitro, no hay problema.
I went down, but I wasn't hurt. I was conscious of what was going on. He hit me hard, but and I accept that the referee stopped the fight.
All right, now that a Roy Jones fight is out of the picture, will you try for a rematch with De La Hoya?
Ahora que la pelea de Roy Jones no parece que se va a dar, pues, ¿tratarías tú por una revancha con De La Hoya?
No, yo siempre he dicho, y siempre hemos dicho que vamos a analizar mi futuro. Yo, de volver a pelear, eso lo tengo que discutir mi padre y yo. Yo soy un gran peleador, no importa que haya perdido. Yo me repongo y vuelvo y gano, no importa. Pero en la noche de hoy, pues, tuve mi primera derrota, no hay problema.
I'm a fighter, and I'll fight anybody. I'm a great champion, and I have to discuss it with my dad and see what goes on.
Thank you very much. You've been a champion. Thank you for putting up the best fight you could against a great fighter tonight.
Y quiero decirle que siempre he respetado de gran manera a HBO, a toda la gente del boxeo.
I want to let everybody know that I have always respected HBO and everybody in boxing.
Y espero que tanto a mí como a todos los boxeadores siempre lo respeten porque el boxeo es un deporte duro.
Boxing is a very hard sport, and I want respect, and I wish that all fighters were respected also.
Y como yo sé que ellos también me respetan a mí.
And I know that the HBO respects me.
Que lo sigan haciendo.
And I would love that they would keep doing it.
Y que en el futuro sigan habiendo grandes peleadores y grandes campeones.
And then in the future there would be great fighters and great fights.
Peleando por HBO.
Fighting on HBO.
Okay, no me aguanto.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, champ. Jim?